got to get your priorities right. Not bad. It's been a while, hasn't it? Well, several things I've forgotten about, mostly regarding Webley. Mark II, of course. She's a little poorly. She's creating a vacuum in the tank, and it's alright. You can get away with it, just open the tank again, but it can, with a full tank, mean you only get about a mile plus about 5 minutes to warm up, and she starts to stutter and can cut out. She's booked in now that the dealer, QBs, are open again. She's booked in for next week, and they tell me it's likely to be the oil pressure. Sorry, no, not the pressure switch. Oil temperature switch, that's the one. Heaven knows how that would affect something else that affects something else that no doubt affects something else and probably affects the ECU and creates a vacuum in the tank, but there you go. Anyway, this isn't a Himalayan video. This is an update on Smle, and it's been ages. But I've got quite a few things to tell you. I think she's been standing since January, maybe February, when I had several things done to her, most of it prevention better than cure, at Triumph Tech Lee Bayless down at Bobbiton Airfield. There will be a link in the description down below. She's been standing now then since, well, if it's January, it'll probably be the end of January. I'm trying to think now, really. But I went away and I was bad. And because I was bad, I didn't fiddle myself, so it was after that. Yeah, it'd be early February. And she's been standing since then, and it's now virtually, well, yeah, the second week in May. And we all know what's been going on, and we all know, for most people, there's been very little anything, let alone motorcycling. I haven't been using two wheels, I've been using Dirty Harry, and he's been brilliant, as usual. Well, as usual, since he doesn't visit Land Rover dealers anymore for any work. But that's, well, yeah, it's a moral thing. It hasn't really been banned for key workers, which I am. And Dirty Harry's the most practical, especially when there's so little traffic been about. The next most practical, of course, is Webley Mark II. But with that issue, I haven't bothered. Obviously, I can't get it into a dealer, not least locally. At the time, can now, as I say, it's booked in. My next go-to generally is Smle, which wouldn't take a lot to do. She's all ready to go, apart from the battery, which we're going to have a look today because she's been standing so long. Compare that with the, there's no video, but there's some stills from doing a bit of TLC and starting Webley Mark II up. But I say, this is a Smle update, so we'll leave Webley to her own, but I've no doubt we'll forget quite a bit about what I was going to say about that one some time back. Anyway, if the battery is so low, and I expect it will be after 4 months or so, we've got this little gizmo. I have used it to a good effect on Webley. A Lextech power pack thingy, $39.99 from Street Bike, although you'll get them anywhere. It has a light, it has USB ports, it charges off a USB socket and charger, and it provides quite a bit of oomph. Not so sure it provides as much as the instructions say it does, but let's give you a bit of a close look. There you go, folks. It's about as big as a mobile phone today in most dimensions. It's perhaps a tad thicker, but it has USB there, that's to charge, that's light, and that under there is the socket for the jump start. It's supposedly to be up to about medium-sized motorbikes. Now, what does that mean? I would say 600cc 4-cylinder maybe. It's what's it now? About 180 amps it can kick out for about 10 tries of, I don't know how many, probably up to about 10-second cranks, maybe a bit less than that. I don't think it's quite good enough for such a big bike, but then again, turning over a single cylinder, although Webley isn't that high compression, but it certainly worked anyway with Webley, and it probably assisted with Thunderbird 4 last year. But yeah, there you go. I dare say there's other makes available. There she is, looking a little bit dusty, not too bad considering the time she's been doing nout. Everything's ready to go really, apart from obviously making sure it'll start and doing the tyre pressures, maybe a bit of lube on the chain, but she's been nowhere since she was fettled with, shall we say, and these few bits done. Let's hope I remember exactly what was done. I think we'll start at the top. Well, the first thing to show you is these two tops to the forks, adjustable tops, well, adjustable for the preload anyway, there. Now, the front forks, I think, on these are they're perfectly adequate, and indeed the rear shocks, I'll come on to them in a bit. They perhaps lack decent oil. If anybody watches any of these videos, you probably know I like originality. One of the reasons I like originality is because it's quite hard sometimes to get back to it, should you wish. However, these are not original, but it's very easy to put back. They just replaced the caps that usually fit on the top of the forks there, but it would be nice if they were silver, or anodised silver, painted, whatever, but just to match the original. But whatever, we'll see. I think it's on about mid-setting at the moment. I haven't messed with this, haven't been anywhere. So yeah, we've got two of those, and it's some sort of anodised aluminium by the looks of it. The next thing changed was the handlebar on the right. Now, I've had this for, we've just gone 3 years, hence its first MOT, which it passed with flying colours. However, the end weight was never very central and in line with the handlebar. I'd turn it round, and I presume one of two things, or maybe both. Either the hole in the original end weight wasn't in the centre, and or the bolt holding it was bent. I know it became bent because it had a slight coming together when I tried to make a garage door sandwich between Dirty Harry the Land Rover and this. Couldn't get all the parts from Hitchcock's, so I basically used glue to make sure that stayed in, because in here the grip for the end weight is usually a cone type that squashes and then goes outwards to fit inside the tube of the handlebar. So not on these, it's just a rubber grommet, that's all it is. It's sort of like once out, that's it. How you get a new one in there, I don't know. There's a grub screw right underneath there, and on this side was a right pain to do anything with. I couldn't do anything with it. So in the end, although I got most of the parts from Hitchcock's, I didn't get all the parts, and I just left it, forgot about it, everything was fine, nothing fell off, and everything worked properly. I decided to see what I could get from eBay from India, and I got the whole handlebar, the switches, part of the loom that plugs into the main loom, all of it you see here, the switches, the grip, the end weight, the plastic spacer bits, and the handlebar, the whole clamp there, for 47 quid posted. And eventually I got round to getting it done, and again Lee put that on for me as well. He left the old switches on because it was damn sight easier to just split the switch and the throttle end, this end, just split it off the original handlebar and put on the new one, than mess about going under the tank and the loom. Moving rearward and down a touch, we've got these Hagon shocks. Obviously there's one on the other side. Now the originals, they're okay, they're adequate. You know, at the end of the day, these are not expensive bikes. There's nothing really wrong with them. But I've done, was it 8,000 miles? I forget now, I'll have a look in a bit. Which ain't a lot, really, but they're only cheap shocks. They say they're Paoli, they're not, they're Airtech. They're built to a price. I do miss the yellow, although some people prefer the more traditional look like this. But these are Hagons, as you can see, name top and bottom, with a bit of damping adjustment as well as preload as well. At the moment, the damping is set on halfway, and just sat on the bike and bouncing. They probably need a little bit more damping, just a fraction. I would equate the damping on the original shocks with a bit of a feel I've got. Not much of a feel, mind. We'll have to wait for a full test and ride for probably a couple of thousand miles to get a good idea. But straight away when you sit on them, I feel better. But if you back the damping off right on these, they're feel about the same as the original. These are 180 quid a pair. It was a Christmas present, and very nice too, thank you very much. Now things, when they are filmed, can sometimes be diminished, like the steepness of a hill, say, and the shine of something perhaps, like here. The swing arm has been repowder coated, all arranged for and done by Lee at Triumph Tech, who took it to a company in Cradley Heath, and they've done a fantastic job, and I'm now thinking, why didn't I have the frame done? Anyway, what started it off was the battery box was getting a bit rusty. I thought, keep the original, get it powder coated, treated and powder coated, put back in. You can get them anyway, but it's a bit of a job, and even if I was feeling up to it, I didn't really feel like messing. The airbox I think had to come out, and probably half the bike. Anyway, whilst it was being done, I had the swing arm done, and it's a beautiful finish. I'll try and get in a bit closer, see if you can tell. Yes, it is a bit dusty, but there was nothing essentially wrong with the original finish. It was just that it's got a few marks in it, and it's prevention better than cure. And whilst the battery box come cage is being done, we'll have the swing arm done. And whilst the swing arm's being done, shall we have the stands done? Yes, we'll have the stands done. Let's have a look at the stand. I think it picks it up better. I don't know if you can pick up the quality of the finish there. Yet it is dusty and there's a few footmarks on them now, but beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I don't know if Lee would want to do the frame, as in take everything off and send the frame in. Lee, would you like to, Lee, mate, buddy? Coming around the other side then, nothing new here, but this is something I want to point out because, well, it's a shame really. This is a Motad end can, and I like the shape of it. It's sort of late 60s sort of style, similar to perhaps some original styles on some Royal Enfields. I've had no issues with it really. I mean, it started to leak a bit at the join on the right. You can see probably there's a bit of goo there to stop it leaking, and it's just wearing a bit thin really. Now, Motad have always been really the cheaper end of the market, but the quality has been, sometimes it's been a bit iffy, sometimes it was alright. Certainly it was good enough for Triumph because they had all their stuff made by them, and it was in Walsall in West Midlands. The trouble is, they lost that, and I think that was the death knell really. Somebody did buy the business but doesn't seem to have done anything with it. So much so, you can't get these anymore. At least I can't get it from Hitchcock's anymore. I think I did have a bit of a search around the web on eBay and that, but I haven't seen one. I have got one of these new to Purana, which was another Christmas present or birthday present from, I don't know, a couple of years back. The beauty of this, the main beauty of this, apart from it sounds nice, is the weight difference is, I don't know, it's probably 10 times lighter than the original. Now, as you can see, there's some staining on it. It's going a bit iffy there. What would be the link pipe, if it had two ends to it, if you like, on the right, that's very tarnished now. But I'm going to use it until it, well, not exactly falls off, but till there's holes in it, I suppose. As I have got a spare, and I have had, I think it's a birthday present, I think this one. I'm going to swear, people, it's a BSA Gold Star, sorry for that, shaped exhaust, because there isn't really anything else available, at least not from Hitchcock's. Right, the other day when I was doing Webley Mark II, I had nothing at all on the clocks, and subsequently found out there was about 8.3 volts left in the battery, and absolutely no life in the clocks at all. So let's try Smle. There you go. So that works. Now I ain't going to try it now because I want to see what the battery's like. Right, let's have a look at the battery. Now, if you didn't know, take these side panels off. It's very easy to scratch things. It's your ignition key in the lock, and I try not to pull the key if I can help it, but I try and grab it underneath like that, and you pull it out of its little prong. Now you've got two at the top that are rubber grommets, so you've got to watch it. They don't move. I don't want to lose them. I don't want to scratch anything. Needless to say, they are a snug fit, but there we go. The benefit of that is no rattling. Well, there's the battery, normal bog standard lead acid type, and even though it's quite cluttered with wires, straight away it's easier to get out than the one on a Himalayan, because you can take that bolt out, drop that wire off. All these will come off with this side of the cage of the battery, obviously your two main leads off the battery as well. Slide it out. I think you would have to lift it slightly and pull it that way because of the narrow space there. You may not be able to see this with the shine on the screen of the multimeter, but it's showing 11.76 volts. I think that's enough in there to give it a whirl. Now the beauty of these in some respects is the side stand being down stops the bike from starting, obviously, like most modern bikes do. I think all modern bikes do, probably for the last 40 odd years I think now. Anyway, they're different on these because it doesn't matter whether the bike is in gear or not, it does the same thing, stops the bike from starting. But that's a good thing here because it means I can get some oil round before it fires up. Another thing about these and the bullets I find is the clutch plate tends to stick together after they haven't been used for let's say about a week. Don't know why. So I'm going to hold the clutch in as well. Ah, that's one thing, isn't it? We have gone past the point of will it start or won't it? Yeah. Right, we'll get the booster then. Very simple. Pull out the rubber plug, push in this. They'll only go in one way because of the shape of the connections. We'll put this somewhere where it can't be in harm's way. There will do. Got it fully charged, the 4 blue lights saying fully charged. These are the awkward bits, trying to get these on even with small crocodile clips. And no doubt I'm probably putting the wrong one on first. That could be a bit longer if I was honest. Oh, this side out's about. Let's try. Yep, got that one on. Just, I think. I'll have to put that on the seat. I think we're alright. Everything lights up. Right, we'll try again. So, if side stand is down, we'll fire up. We'll try again. Right, here we go then. We'll now leave her running. Keep an eye on the engine getting too hot because obviously there's no airflow, just air around the engine, being air cooled. Right, let's see what she's doing charging on tick over. On tick over at yeah, about 1100 RPM. Well, it varies a little. About 0.3 of a volt, but just over 14.09. Occasionally it drops a little to about 14.02. 14.66 at 2000 RPM. And what better than having one running? Let's have two running. Well, it's a lot quieter. So, whilst they are doing a little bit of charging, I'll keep an eye on them now. It's getting more chance of riding, although only for essential stuff for me anyway, work, being a key worker. We'll let it run, but Webley's already been done, but basically I'm going to do it the MOT check really, so horn lights, all that sort of thing, make sure they're running. Now we're going to check the oil, which is a bit odd, and yes, it does involve a bit of guesswork. Now, as you can see, that's the oil fill level marks and window. So you start the bike up, you let it run for a while, and then you switch off and let it rest for a few minutes, say 5 minutes, make a cup of tea. But checking the actual level is not on the centre stand, it's by holding the bike upright. And that's the awkward bit. So what I do, I take it off the stand and guesstimate, if you like, how the bike is, and basically I lean back holding the bike a little bit so I can see. It is easier to do it with two people, much easier, just get somebody to sit on the bike or straddle the bike. Before we'll do that, we'll see what the battery's like now after running for about 30 minutes. Yes, it's not really enough yet, but 12.52. Well, that's almost it, just got to check the oil level. Time for the Royal Enfield Limbo. Judge where it is, that's about it. Hold it there and have a look. looks spot on to me. By the way folks, the toolkit lives in here as well. I have augmented it. If you've seen the post on Facebook, my Facebook travels page, I have augmented it with a small, well, probably medium sized adjustable spanner, because sometimes you need two and you can't carry two of everything in there. Now we put the cover back on. Put your slides on at an angle. Get your rubber grommets lined up with the pegs at the top. Pull down a little bit, or push down a little bit, push up. Make sure the bike don't fall over. Obviously I need my key for the last bit. Push in. Turn. That should be locked in theory. Looks alright at the top. I'll grab it down the bottom. It's a bit awkward because there ain't much room, and I just pull. I think that's alright, but I heard a bit of a click. Now one of the rubber grommets might have moved. Let's have a look. Yeah. Let's just take it off again. I'll show you something, and this happens quite a bit. That is the bottom rubber grommet, or rather it should be at the moment. Goes in there. Now I probably could do with a new one. It's looking a little bit worse for wear, but it can get pushed out, so be careful. You've got the bottom peg lined up and it goes in the hole. Bit of lube on it will help a lot. Let's try and get it back in. It's one of the things with it being a little bit aged now, it's relatively easy to get back in. The release for the seat is there, by the way. I've lubed the peg with just a bit of furniture polish really. Oh, that's nice. I hope that's got it. Let's have a look. I'm going to be a sucker for punishment. I'm going to have a look, see if the grommet's still there. And it is. Yeah, could do with a new one. Note to self. About time I had another cup of tea at Hitchcock's. Oh, we can't do that, can we? Well, that's it, folks. That is really what I do to all the bikes, whether it's the Royal Enfields or the Triumphs, depending on things like the specifics that are different to each bike. And this one's ready to go now, apart from I've got to adjust the mirrors. And after that it'll be time for another one of these. Not a mug, what goes in it? See you again.